I'm always trying to figure out what's the frame of mind to do these videos. Nobody watches. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to explain my releases and things like that. I don't know why. Anyway, so this one is Enchanted Preludes. It's a collection of live played pieces, and it's got a lot of different kinds of piano on it. It's very drama intensive. It's got a lot of different genres and styles going on, and you can hear where I'm sort of using my producer mindset to sculpt around the melodies and the chords and things like that to create kind of a unique piano listening experience. So we have like different categories of what solo piano sounds like, and this one I'm sort of adding the production sort of vibe to the piano playing so that I'm utilizing the registers of the pianos to do certain things that are more atmospheric and accentuate things in sort of a suggestive way. So, what I'm also saying with that is when a pianist is playing a piano, sometimes he's just playing the piano, and sometimes it's to pretend to be other things. So it's a piano, but it's like it's trying to do all these parts, and that's sort of how you would make a larger production back in the day, or an orchestration. It's like you would say, well, this is the reeds, and this is the strings, and this is the cello, and these are the bell sections. So it's sort of mimicking the qualities of those instruments, and so that's what I'm doing as well. And I'm taking in some of the things that I've learned in trailer music and I've learned in sync music, the super emotional, drama intensive stuff. And of course, my love of them all, which is classical. I don't know what it is, just like it's more fun to do classical, but people just, they don't really want it. So this is not quite classical, but it's got a lot of like leanings towards that. And if you think about like Liszt and composers like that, how they were able to transcend the qualities of the expectations of the instrument. That's sort of what I would try to do here, but not with his incredible virtuosity, but with my sort of humble, contemporary mindset, so that I could sort of take what I'm experiencing in the modern world and transpose it or transcribe it to the instrument, which is the piano in this case. And so I've listened to it a couple times myself, just as a quality control measure, and so that's why I'm able to kind of go further into detail for sure, because I've heard it enough times. Let me tell you. But no, it's pretty good on a phone, and it sounds really exceptional if you have like a Bose speaker cell, like you could send it to something like that. Probably sounds pretty decent on a TV. It's really could fit a lot of different settings. So you have like your jazzy cafe setting, or your restaurant, or your background in general. So my father was a lounge pianist towards the end of his life, for I think a place called the Sign of the Dove. I don't even know where it is at this point. I just know I remember the name. But so anyway, so he had like some recordings that he'd made. Now he had actually been a classically trained pianist from Juilliard. And so the short story on my bio is I got my initial like sort of insights into music from the archive of material from his times at Juilliard. And this included like the little books, extensive amounts of vinyl recordings that were purchased for research for his work in becoming a professional musician, composer, all that kind of stuff. But he liked to do the live stuff, but he didn't want to become a concert pianist. And I guess that's a very, very challenging thing. You really have to have that desire. It's like being a gladiator or something. Or an athlete, like an Olympian. So that's where I was able to get like a extensive exposure to quite a few different ways of going about music, from the classical, way back in the day, to the Beatles. You had a lot of Beatles stuff, to the sort of more modern classical. That's where we enter the Russians, and then we start to drift into film score. and the film score takes it into, adding electronic elements and things like that. So I digress. I'm going way off on a tangent here, but so that's sort of the influence. And though it's just piano pieces, and though they're pretty short, they're preludes. You get really an inkling of what a lot of things in this world, a lot of melodies, a lot of ideas, textures, genres that sort of phase in and out. And you get a lot more than meets the eye with this kind of collection. Really given like a little bit of my knowledge to this collection in weird ways so that it can, catapult it into another, level of piano performances. So they are live, and some of them that I did, I did for YouTube, so you can actually see the original. But however, there are definitely times when I wanted to augment some things to either clean some stuff up or to just change the idea of the chord progression, because I'm doing it all improv. But it's still nice to be able to add that one little, nudge towards production. So there's definitely, I admit, some of that. But there's no AI in this. None of this is generated by, like automatic arpeggiation. And also, all of these are free form and free meter, which is another important part of this. So lately, I've been obsessed with the idea of free meter because basically what that means is there's no like rigid structure to it, and that is, in a nutshell, the beauty of classical music, because you don't have to have the catchy quality, and so you can sort of drift, and that's why it's like the compositions of like a Liszt today, doing these crazy things in 10 minutes or even longer, whatever, like the transcendental what were they, Hungarian waltzes and the etudes and all that stuff. So something like that today, it's like nothing doable. I mean, they want like a hook and a 4x4, and the first comes the hook, and then comes a little verse thingy, and then comes maybe a bridge if you're lucky, and then another hook again, and to make it catchy, to make it memorable, something super noticeable. The development of the music, it doesn't start like in an organic way. It's just like blah, here I am, And so classical is just so different from that. And an example of that is the Prokofiev Third Piano Concerto. And if you ever hear that piece, you'll know why I am the way I am. You'll know why classical is unique, because it doesn't have to play by the rules of modern production, and you're really committing to that, unfortunately, when you do modern stuff. Like every time I try to do, electronic or techno, and it's like I feel so confined to the textures and what I'm allowed to do with the synthesizers. And it's like, yeah, you can do some unique tones, but really they've got to act a certain way. They got to play their little role. And classical is just not like that. I mean, a piano can become a hammer. A piano can become a taiko drum. A piano, in an abstract way. So that's why, to me, these things can kind of be more with less. So I'll leave it at that. And that's just a little blurb about, what's going on with the contents of my latest release. I think I'm on about like my 53rd or so release since I've been back here in Florida. These are all just a labor of love. They don't get really pushed anywhere. They don't get really promoted anywhere. I don't have a fancy publisher doing all the inside networking, shall we say. However, they're available for sync music. You can contact me. They're available for other artists to flesh out. I'm the publisher, so you can go ahead and mess with it, and I'm not gonna, I don't have the resources to come after you, and I don't play that game. I did my part as a composer to try to make entertaining pieces and works, to also help support environments and the hospitality industry and the enjoyment of life factor, and support the products as a whole that other people produce, from films to television to whatever. And that's what I cared about, and that's what I care about, and that's what I try to focus on. And so it's not an easy battle, and that's why I say these are really just a labor of love. And so hopefully you'll hear a couple things out of this that you can take away as an enjoyable experience.